Hey everybody, welcome back to week whatever of recruiting in yoga pants with Amy Miller. I'm Amy. I'm not wearing yoga pants because they're all dirty. I'm wearing, I don't know, I think my husband sweats maybe at this point. I don't know. Anyway, a little chaos in the Miller household the last several weeks. And as a matter of fact, we are not only continuing our stay-at-home order and our quarantine, but I learned this week that my children's school, all the schools in the state of Washington, are closed for the rest of the year. My friends, it is April. They generally go until mid to late June. I have one high schooler who's freaking out and one that could not be happier. What they do not realize yet is that they are now entered the mama school of life skills, and they will be doing quite a lot of laundry. Gotta get those yoga pants clean, as well as some other very creative to be determined courses. If you have any ideas on how to keep a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, almost, they're 14 and 16, but they will have quarantine birthdays coming up. All right, 14 and 16. I know how old my kids are, I promise. Okay, rewind, scratch. Anyway, if you have any ideas for some really cool homeschool curriculum that I can add on to their online learning, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. Okay, so I wanted to dig in to resumes a little bit more. I do have a video back on week 4 where we talked about busting the myth that is the one-page resume. I still stand by that. I think a one-page resume is one of the worst pieces of advice floating around out there. And again, if your resume safely fits on a single page and you're able to, tell your story effectively in one page, that's awesome. But if you have to lower the font to like 6 to get it on one page, or it's very condensed or very hard for your 45-year-old recruiter to read, because these are special glasses that help me see things up close. I'm going to ask you to please go to a second page. So yeah, the one-page resume, I'm not changing my mind on that. That's still a big fat myth. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper into something else we talked about in that video, which is the master resume. So I went back and rewatched it. Just kind of wanted to make sure I'm not repeating myself too much. I probably am going to, bear with me. But the idea behind the master resume is this is your living, breathing document that only you see, or people that you trust, obviously, and you want to get their advice. But that is where everything goes. So every job you've ever had, every accomplishment you've ever made, it doesn't have to be every single thing. My very first job was working at a pizza place. I don't need to put that on my resume. That was 30 years ago. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, I made a bunch of free pizzas for my friends. Sorry, family from my hometown, if you're watching. No, but here's the idea. This is where you just data dump everything. And so a lot of you are approaching that kind of going, where do I even start? What do I do? And we get into this, we kind of spin up the anxiety and the stress and the angst about this because we want to make it look good and we want to make it perfect, and we want to add everything but then not too much, and then how do I use this to apply to a role? And see, I'm getting angsty just talking about it. So here's the big idea. Here's what I want you to do. And I have my handy dandy whiteboard. Woo, okay. So the idea here is we are going to see if y'all can read my messy handwriting. Sometimes I can't, so that's fun. All right, there are 3 things, a very specific way of doing things when you are writing a master resume. And here it is. You are going to write, you are going to edit, and then you are going to format. What do I mean by this? Let me explain. Here, you are just data dumping. That's it. I don't care if you're misspelling words. I don't care if everything is just off. I don't care if their format's messy. I don't care if you have tabs or bullets. Don't worry about any of that. Just write. Just type it all in, line by line. dump that data into your Word doc or whatever word processing software you might be using. Maybe you're sending yourself an email. I don't care. Write it all out. Once you have the write down and all that data is in there and you're going back and thinking, okay, did I capture everything? Cool. And again, this is where you're putting in your accomplishments as well. So I worked for ABC Company. I did these exact things. These were my roles and responsibilities. These are the things I accomplished. I want you putting it all right here. I want you to write it all out, okay? Now we're gonna go to edit. Now editing is where I'm gonna go in and clean that up. I'm going to check for misspelled words. I'm going to look for run-on sentences. I'm going to kind of put that into a more readable, kind of a resume applicable format. So what does that look like? I mean, it's exactly that. It's getting rid of your red squiggly lines. If you're on Word, it's, you know, just kind of making sure things are spelled right, make sure your sentence structure is flowing, those kinds of things. It's really just your opportunity to go back and fix all the things that might have slipped as you were kind of data dumping and typing furiously to get everything down. Once you have those two things done, I want you to take a break. I want you to take a lot of breaks, actually. Take breaks all the time in this exercise. This can take you a day, this could take you a week. Nobody's testing you, I promise. You take the time you need to put this together. Once you've now written it all out, you've edited the spelling, the grammar, that kind of stuff, now you're gonna go in and format. So now this is where it becomes pretty, okay? And a lot of us get stuck on pretty in the first step. We're typing in, okay, I worked at this company and these are the things I did. Oh, let me fix that. Oh, let me move the tab. I don't like that bullet. And you get stuck. You get kind of caught up in fixing without thinking that I'm gonna have to do this 12 more times because I got more jobs to list. I got promotions to add. I got this and I got that. Scratch all that, get the writing done, get the editing done. Then I want you to work on formatting. So formatting, let me tell you, recruiters, for the most part, prefer chronological resumes. There's a lot of advice out there about, you know, a functional resume and leading with your skills and things like that. If this is helpful for you, and this is something we want to dig into, let me know. I will do next week's video and talk about resume format and what recruiters look for. We still have some live resume reviews discussions happening with a handful of folks who volunteered. So those things are coming, but just again, in the broader sense, if talking through resume format and what I am looking at or what I'm thinking when I see it, I can do that. I will review my own resume live with you if that would be beneficial. So drop a comment, shoot me an email, amy@recruitingandyogapants.com, and we can kind of structure next week's video around what's best for you. So now we have our format done. Okay, so now this is your living, breathing master resume that you are gonna save as a file, first name, last name, master resume, whatever you want. I personally like a first name, last name resume as a title for any resume I get. It makes it easier to find. But so now you're done, okay? Now you can go celebrate. Now you have this document that every time you find a job that you want to apply for and you think, oh, I could do that. That's a job that I could do. That's a job I could be successful in. That's just like a job I had somewhere in here. Now you have this big old document that you can go back and edit. Format's already there. And send to the recruiter or enter into the online application, okay? So we will talk more about that as well in a future video if that is helpful for you. These are all about bringing content that makes sense to you and makes your life easier. It is not about me because Lord knows ain't nobody paying me for this stuff. So that said, drop me a comment, let me know how this resonates with you. Two things I want to follow up with you on is what does a resume look like through a recruiter's eyes? So what am I seeing? What am I looking for? What's the right format? Things like that. And then how we can take this master and map it to the job you want to apply to and make sure that we have the right keywords, the right story, etc. So those are two things that I think we should talk about next. Why don't we do a poll? I'll work on doing a poll and see if we can get some way for you guys to weigh in on what you would prefer. All right, with that, we're at the 10-minute mark, friends. Thanks for sticking with us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week.